Hello, welcome back to Monster Frequency. This is a very special episode to coincide with the applications open date for the Monster Academy. This is our brand new medical writing course. It's 12 weeks, part-time and fully remote. It's going to provide you with a comprehensive overview of the medical writing industry around your other commitments. So if this sounds like something interesting, then do check out our socials. We've been putting out some information about this. Just released a brand new course brochure as well. Oh, it's looking swanky. Do have a quick look. But this episode is all about one of our writers, a bit of a showcase. One of our writers, writing monster Punzel. She's a principal medical writer, aka Saima. She's going to be talking a bit about how she got into the medcoms industry. Bit of a case study for you. So if you're the kind of person there who's thinking, you know what, medcoms might be for you, then do listen to Saima's own experience. Now, it might sound a bit like your own story might parallel your journey into medcoms, or it might be completely different. And this is actually the wonderful thing about this industry. People from all walks of life, people from all different backgrounds and interests to end up in medcoms as medical writers. So this course is all about breaking down those career boundaries and giving you an introduction to the industry. I'm not going to chat for too long. Let's just get kicked off straight away with this special episode. Here is Saima. I started off by asking her how she found it transitioning from chemistry, because this was her background area, PhD in chemistry. How did she find moving from that into medical writing? Here's what she had to say.
It was actually more seamless than I had maybe thought it would be. With my PhD, I really enjoyed it, but it was very much, like you said, it was in chemistry. It was like computational, a mix of like computational, inorganic and physical chemistry. And I really enjoyed it, and I'm really thankful that I had the time and opportunity to do it. But it was one of those things when as you're doing it, you kind of start to think, it starts to feel quite abstract in the sense of, what am I doing, and like how much of an impact is it actually going to have? And I was quite fortunate in that I had a really good supervisor, and also she had quite a good research group, and there were some like really helpful and knowledgeable postdocs that I could speak with, and they all kind of said the same to me, which was that unless you really see your future and your career in academia, get out sooner rather than later, because the longer you stay, especially in chemistry, the longer you stay in it, the more you're going to become niched and specialized in like one particular field of chemistry. And so that's kind of like what prompted me to think about it. In terms of like the actual switch from like perhaps more from like the physical sciences to, I guess, what is life science, one of the life sciences. Like I said, it was actually more straightforward than I thought it would be. I think as long as you've kind of got a passion for science and you enjoy it, because although like yes, I was doing it in chemistry, I always kind of enjoyed the biology aspect of things. From like I did some modules as part of my undergrad and A levels and all that kind of stuff. So I think as long as you have a passion for science and you enjoy science and you enjoy that specific part of science, then I don't see why it would be a hindrance. It's like maybe I had to do at the beginning, maybe I kind of had to do a bit more background reading, I would say, in terms of like kind of getting up to speed, like when people talk about like, or like just like simple like cell biology, which I guess other people might have had at the forefront of their brain. Maybe I had to kind of like go a step back and like do a bit more research and reading. Like I personally don't feel like it kind of necessarily held me back or held me up. Funny enough, I remember my first job because as part of like their recruitment round with when they were taking in, like, I think they were doing a recruitment round for associate writers, and I got the job in addition to 3 other junior writers, and I was the only one, I think, with the physical sciences background. And I remember when they made the job offer, them saying to me, it was a bit of not a gamble, but it was a bit of an unknown for them taking on someone who hadn't come from a traditional biology or biochem background. So they were kind of saying, it would be a case for both, like it would be a bit of a learning curve for both of us in terms of us figuring out how it goes, and they'd say, we can reassess and see if it's working, but thankfully it seemed to be fine.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You probably kind of brought to the table something a bit different anyway, right? A different kind of perspective on things. So it's really interesting kind of so far, actually. Already we're kind of getting a bit of a picture emerging where actually a lot of people kind of say quite similar things to yourself in terms of their reasons for, seeking out that career change, starting off in research quite commonly and then thinking, oh, actually, you know what, this isn't really for me, and for, you know, various reasons, then will kind of seek out a career in medcoms. But it's interesting that lots of different people, kind of different backgrounds, end up trying to kind of do that. And I'm just wondering whether there's kind of different perspectives bringing to the table. I'm sure it probably was really cool, because I'm just thinking from a perspective of, you know, the kind of varied base of work that we do as medical writers. I don't know if you kind of saw straight away some aspects of different projects that you thought, actually, you know what, that's right up my street, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I guess kind of, and it's probably like a cliche and something everyone kind of says in medcoms, but like obviously one of the things that I think came out of my PhD was, you know, I actually really enjoyed the writing aspect of it, which is, I guess, a bit of a telltale sign in itself, because a lot of people absolutely hate writing their thesis and they hate doing like all the papers and the reports, whereas I actually really enjoy that aspect of it. And so, yeah, I guess when, you know, I first started to look into medcoms and, like, you know, figuring out what it was about, it was like, oh yeah, that, like you said, it does, like, you know, the whole kind of like taking like complex ideas and distilling it down to something a bit more user friendly or just a bit more accessible to a wider audience was something that did sound a bit more like you said, exciting and up my street. So I think that's probably what kind of attracted me to it, and that's in the sense that I wouldn't necessarily be losing all of my skill sets from doing all of my skills from doing my PhD. I could kind of transfer that over. So yeah, I think that's kind of what it was. And then I guess, like I said, you know, that whole thing about not wanting, like, starting to feel like what I was doing was quite abstract. And then in medcoms, obviously, like, everything is about, you know, it's all about patients really, and like disease and like treatments, and so it's all very much relevant in a way, or, you know, in one way or the other. And so I think that was quite appealing as well, to do, like, as like, yeah, cheesy as it might sound, to do something which you actually feel matters to someone. Like, at the end of the day, there's always going to be an end user, like, there's someone going to be reading your work or viewing your work. So I think that was quite exciting as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I can't imagine anyone will ever read my thesis, to be perfectly honest.
Exactly. I'm not even sure if I know where mine is. I know, obviously, we've got it bound. It's somewhere, but yeah, like, yeah.
People always joke.
It's great.
Yeah. People always joke, don't they, about using it as like a paperweight or even underneath.
Exactly.
I think I can't remember who it was. It might have even been someone in the team, actually, but I can't remember. Yes, someone sent quite an amusing picture of finally found out a use for my thesis, and it was like propping up their monitor. I can't remember who did that, but yeah. That's where mine belongs.
It is quite accurate though, isn't it? Like, you just think, I mean, obviously, like, I know everyone says it's an achievement, whatever, getting a PhD, but like you said, it's kind of like so what? Like, what's the so what of it afterwards? So apart from obviously the accomplishment, but yeah, so it's nice to kind of do something where you actually feel like it matters. Yeah,
no, I'm with you there. I mean, because one thing that I really, really love about medcoms in general, I suppose, actually, is, and I guess it was quite unexpected for me, because when I first heard about medcoms, I didn't really realise at all that there would be this massive element of like creativity. I don't know if that's, were you kind of aware of that when you were kind of coming in, that would be part?
No, not really either. I think I would say I was pretty oblivious to it as well.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things, I guess, that once I was kind of in the industry, I thought, oh wow, there is so much more scope for it than I thought.
Yeah.
I guess I had this naive view of what medcoms was when I kind of first started, that, it'll be all about, you know, writing, you know, reports or making slide decks for congresses and things. But obviously, even in those, there's these kind of elements of creativity. But then there is obviously, you know, more specialist areas within, isn't there, that are massively creative, which I absolutely love. It's
definitely, I guess that's, I mean, obviously, like you said, you get the very traditional medcoms, but then you also get the healthcare copy, like advertising and copywriting and stuff, where you can kind of really let your, you know, creative side loose. So that is nice, yeah.
And I just wonder about your kind of own preferences. Again, I'm not sure I've actually ever asked you before, in terms of do you have any kind of particular preferences in that kind of thing? I mean, do you love the kind of healthcare copywriting, or are you more of someone who prefers those kind of, you know, clinical reports and that kind of side of things?
I would say I probably sit more comfortably under like the traditional medcoms umbrella.
Yes.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that what I like is doing the clinical reports. I would say I like doing the medcoms. I don't necessarily like doing publications and stuff like that. I find that kind of is a bit too much on the technical writing side for me.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, I do, as I said, I enjoy the medcoms, but I have while I don't have as much experience in like the copywriting aspect of things, what I have done, I have also quite enjoyed, because again, it's like flexing a different part of your brain. So if anything, I probably enjoy quite a bit of a balance where I'm kind of being able to do some of the more typical things. Like I do enjoy like the slide decks and some, I guess, like advisory board reports and like scientific narratives and like FAQs and that kind of stuff. But I also quite enjoy the more, I guess, creative projects like leaf pieces and detail aids and stuff. Just kind of thinking it's almost like presenting data in different ways, right? Because if how you're presenting data in like a leaf piece or a detail aid would be very different to perhaps how you would present the same data as part of like a Congress presentation. So I kind of like being able to do it, like essentially like being able to do both.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I can't really imagine that there are a few kind of jobs where the flexibility is kind of such to that level where, it literally, I mean, again, it sounds pretty cheesy, but every day can be totally different in terms of what you're doing.
Yeah.
As you say, what part of the brain you're flexing. I really do like that aspect of the work, actually. It's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely nice to kind of have it's like I said, it's nice to be able to kind of exercise different parts of your brain.
Yeah, I'm trying to think as well, kind of moving on to a slight, well, very related kind of topic, but this might be quite a tough one to do kind of off the top of your head, so we'll just see how it goes, really. But I was just thinking back to, I mean, and the reason I was thinking about it is because I was thinking back to my own experience in medcoms, and actually it always stands out in my mind, because when I first got involved, my very first project, I think it was on ILEA actually, back in Porterhouse. And it just like cemented into my brain, that is the kind of first experience and the kind of first projects I was working on. I was wondering whether you had kind of a similar kind of thing where you remember, I remember one of the first projects I was doing was this, but I don't know if that might be a difficult thing to remember now.
Yeah, I think it probably is, unfortunately. I mean, it's obviously probably something to do on the same account, so it's probably something ILEA related, but it might have been something again as simple as doing reference packs and data checks, because that's normally like the things that they always kind of initiate newbies on. I can't remember. I remember working on slide decks for meetings as well, but it feels like it was quite a long time ago now. I'm struggling.
That was it, wasn't it? It was the Vision Academy stuff.
Vision Academy, yep, that was because I think when I came on that, because I remember starting in October, and then I think the Vision Academy was held in like March the following year or something, like around that time, springtime. So so it's kind of being pulled into that and like getting involved. As I said, with I remember doing like things like slide decks and reference packs. Data checking reference packs, but also actually helping out with slide development, which was, I guess, quite cool, because I was fortunate enough to actually go to the meeting itself, so it was nice kind of A, work on something, but B, then see it being presented by the KOLs. So that was quite nice, and as I said, that was pretty much within 6 months of me starting. So it was nice, kind of almost, like I said, be brought into the project, but then actually see the project through to fruition in terms of the actual meeting itself.
Yeah, that's nice. Must have been almost like a cementing in what you were hoping you would be able to do in terms of, I remember you were saying when we first started chatting today about, wanting to do something that was a bit more kind of tangible and you can actually see something coming out of it. Quite a nice first experience, I guess, working on something like that where that people are involved in this event. It's, spreading this information that's actually really valuable to clinicians and people out there. So it must have been quite a satisfying first experience. Yeah,
I think I was quite fortunate to be able to go to that. But as you said, it was because, I remember kind of the lead up to all the the logistics and all the KOL and speaker briefing calls, and working on the slides and refining the slides and making amends based on the speaker's feedback, and then kind of seeing it all play out over the space of a couple of days or 2-3 days was it was definitely, it was quite, I don't know if satisfying is the right word, but I was definitely, as I said, fortunate enough to kind of see it all happen.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool. I was thinking a kind of a next place to go, which hopefully will be a bit fairer than just asking you to delve deep into your memory. But I was thinking about I guess reasons why we kind of really enjoy doing what we do, and obviously one of the kind of key elements that's kind of quite special to us as at Word Monster is obviously that quite large focus on flexibility. So I was just wondering if you had any particular things that you that you can talk about, that you really enjoy about that?
I think you've probably kind of hit the nail on the head with in terms of like the flexibility aspect of it, because I think that's a major part of it. Like actually being able to do something you enjoy doing, but fitting it around, the rest of your life essentially. It definitely kind of, I would say, it's probably the first place where I've worked where I kind of really feel like I actually have an actual work-life balance. And I think that makes a massive difference. I think that makes a massive difference to how you actually then view the work as well. Because, if you're getting that work-life balance, then you almost want to invest more into the work because you don't feel so burnt out. And you feel like you can invest more in the work, and you want to make sure you're doing the best job you can. Whereas when you're constantly, I think, if that balance isn't there, then you kind of, it's almost like you feel like you're just scraping along, and you're kind of, your fuel tank's empty. So although you want to do the best you can, if you don't have the energy, essentially, like, you're not going to be able to. So I think the flexibility and like just the, because obviously our whole culture and ethos is, we're very protective of our hours. Like, you will do our set hours how we've agreed with a client. Obviously there's always a flex to do more, and sometimes I'm sure we all kind of are guilty of it, where we do kind of do the extra like half an hour here or there, and like we just like let it slide. But again, you don't mind doing that so much because it's not necessarily something that someone is asking of you. You're doing it because you want to do it. I would say like the flexibility and kind of having that balance makes a massive difference to kind of like how I view my work and how I approach my work as well.
Well, thank you very much, Saima. You just heard from Saima, principal medical writer, aka Monster Punzel. You'll check out more information about Saima if you wish on the Word Monster website. You can also learn more about the Monster Academy, this brand new medical writing course that we're just releasing. Applications have just opened. Head over to monsteracademy.training. That's monsteracademy.training to learn all about the application process, about the course. You can also download our swanky new course brochure there. Oh, cheeky. Anyway, hope to catch you again very soon, but for now, that's a goodbye from me. Bye!